I don't have my glasses on, so I have my phone next to me for the chat box because I can't see that, but I can't wear glasses to read this or to see this. Does this sound good for everybody? Anybody in chat that can hear me? I want to make sure that the music's not too loud or anything. Ooh. Well, welcome. Today we are doing some tests of dirty down water soluble paint. I've got 4 different kinds here. We've got rust, verdigris, yellow rust, and moss. And we're going to be testing them on a couple of different options. We've got some Warhammer minis, I believe War Machine minis. We've got a custom mini somebody did for us, and just like a generalized template with textures and different paint colors so that we can see what each color kind of looks on everything else. I also have like some other miniatures that are kind of random. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. I did forget to shake these up. These are, oh gosh, I forgot what, solvent. They're solvent based. There's supposed to be a big ball bearing in here to help shake it up, but they do separate pretty easily. So you do need to, they recommend room temperature for these. Let's go ahead and start with this guy. Gosh, that's a little zoomed in. I think that's fine. But yeah, so they recommend room temperature for these paints. I think room temperature, yeah. One of the recommendations was like keep the paint near your body for like an hour, and I was just like, I don't know how I feel about putting paint in my pocket for an hour, but you never know. So I just shook up moss, so let's go ahead and see what that looks like. You can use wet paintbrush, dry paintbrush. Oh, I'm sorry, let me go backwards. To kind of like shake it up, if you don't have one of those shakers to kind of like get it loose at the bottom, you can use like a cheap paintbrush to go in there and like stir. You could use like a chopstick or anything that really reaches the bottom. You basically just want all of the chunks in there to be broken up before you start using it. Are they moving the camera? I was shaking the table, so that might have been it too. So, does it look okay? Yeah, I do see it moving. Hang on a second. That's the best I can do, sorry. The sandbag's gonna move. I don't know what's up with that guy. But this paint, or it's kind of like a wash in a sense for those of you. I'm super new at painting. My first time was to do like a lot of things was last night. Super fun, like a lot, so I might have a new hobby. But basically, you can use a dry brush to do this, or wet. It is water soluble, so basically like the idea is that like if you happen to mess up, you can go in there with some water and kind of clean it up or stuff like that. So let's go ahead. We're gonna start over here in like the silver area. Ooh, thanks, Dan. All right, I've got 2 different types of water, apparently. So let's go ahead. I have so many different types of brushes. I would recommend artificial versus real hairbrushes. Also, fun fact, if you like your brush and would like to keep it afterwards, immediately wash with soap and water because this will harden and be very difficult to get out of your brush. So let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna do some moss over here in like these little guys here. The dry time is actually super fast. Um, it's I was shocked about how fast it goes. You'll be able to see more of a difference when we go to like the verdigris and the yellow rust, like how quickly you can see the color shift. Um, the moss has a tendency to need to build up a little bit, but it also kind of depends on what kind of paint it's going on top of versus the type of texture that it's going on. Let's add a little bit more here. And I was trying different techniques last night just to see like what kind of effects it would give and things like that. I can show you one that I used for this moss on a more flatter surface that has not a whole lot, but basically you can see how like, oops, sorry, my hands are backwards, how like it looks really fuzzy. This is a high matte finish. So like it does have texture to it. This is a little bit of verdigris I was messing with. I thought it was the moss initially. So, but I really like the moss. Like I thought I have a rock mini that it was a tree and I made it into a rock that I'm going to try to mossify a little bit later. Oop, a pebble fell off. Whee. But yeah, so, oop, that's not the right brush. So the dry time's pretty quick on these. I'm just gonna do a little bit more on this moss and then kind of leave it as is for the silver. And then we can move on to, I think maybe the yellow rust next. I kind of want to try the rust or the yellow rust on this little like coin looking part here. Now it does say that like when you're using it, they want you to like reseal it. There's a lot in here, so I haven't really been doing that when I mess with it. If you get lower, it's probably a good idea to kind of be better with your paints. Very new at this. So I was like, no, it's fine. Yeah, because you can usually see down towards the bottom where it like caked up and stuff. You should be able to see through it pretty well when it's like really well shooken. Shake it. I don't want to get too close to the table in case I'm jostle anything, but I'm also really nervous with the amount of water that's on the table right now. I'm kind of a klutz, so I feel like I could get real bad. Okay, I think that's pretty good. We're gonna move on to yellow rust. And then this one, you should be able to see a little bit better as it dries. Do this guy here. We are trying it on four different metal plates. And then I wanted to show you what it would look like on just like regular black if you wanted to try to do stuff on there. I thought that also had a really cool effect. You can also layer some of them on top of each other. So like the moss on top of the verdigris is actually pretty cool. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, you can start to see how fast this is drying here. How's everybody doing? I really can't get into painting. got too many hobbies as it is, but it was so much fun. I enjoyed it too much. And the effects for these guys were so cool. So like, I don't know if you can see how it's drying there and the different, like it's darker in the crevices the more you put on. I've tried a thinner coat just to see like how it would look like if you just like quickly brushed and then layered on top of that. That was actually pretty interesting there. But yeah. Dave's got a lot of minis. Yeah. But like if you do so if you do like a quick paint rather than a dab, that might also have a different effect and stuff like that and how it settles. Also, we used this when I was testing things out last night. It's just like a fidget toy, a silicone fidget toy. Great as a palette for paints, because if they're, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember if it was alcohol based, it doesn't come off as well, but like your normal army painters and stuff like that, when they dry in there, you can just like pop it and it like peels right off. It's really cool. Yeah, so you can see how the dry time here is making this more rusty where it was a little bit thicker, and then you got like the lighter colors here. I forgot to show you. So we tested a couple of these guys out. We have all four basically. So we've got the yellow rust over here, the verdigris and some spots and like the rivets and stuff here, the moss on this one, and then the regular rust over here. And this was just on, I think this was a War Machine guy, I believe he said. But yeah, so you can see the different type of effects that these would have on the regular silver, based on how you apply them, obviously, but I'm not the best at applying them still there. Oh, this looks so cool. I get so excited. This is so awesome. Okay, so I'm going to, oh gosh. Actually, let's try this out. Let's show you guys what this might look like on more. This one is rough iron here in the middle, this darker point. So it goes plate mail metal, rough iron, what is it? True copper, and then greedy gold. So let's just go ahead and test this guy out. This would be, the yellow rust on top of a rough iron coloring. Oh. I don't have the best brush. I can try another one. Doing the water droplet to let it fill in the cracks by itself too. Yeah, so this guy here is mostly dry here, and if you want, you can go in and try to like layer it up and stuff. More finer details. rust out the rivets. So we're gonna let that dry for a little bit. That was the rough iron. Oh my goodness. We're gonna try the true copper over here. Let's do this window area. Great. You can try it with different types of brushes, depending on the type of effect that you want. I was using this one actually. You can see how it like stained a little bit there. We didn't exactly, these are pretty cheap brushes, so we didn't really care if it was like 100% clean or anything. But you can see like the staining and things like that. So if you are a fan of the brushes and you want to keep using them afterwards, I would do like soap and water as soon as you're done. Try to keep the tip wet, the tip of the brush wet until you're ready to finish up. I think I had that muted. There was a little bit in the cap from when I shook it, so I'm just kind of utilizing that there. I think I want to use a bigger brush. Just gonna go whoop. Do like a quick brush over. So this is how this guy is drying over here. So pretty cool. The moss is actually starting to look pretty good here too, the longer it dried. And you can see like some of the darker parts from when it was a little bit heavier. Oh, no, still got one. All right, so last but not least, we're gonna try this out on, well, not last, but second last. We're gonna try it out on the Greedy Gold to see what kind of effect this might have. Put it on the helmet. A little horns. They do recommend doing this in a well-ventilated area. I have a tiny little fan, so wish me luck. But I would recommend that if I were you. And then just gonna put this over here. Bang on the door. You're not even here. What would that do? Just gonna do a little bit on this black here with the yellow rust, just on the texture so that you can see how it seeps into all of that. And then I'll do a little streak on the straight pieces because they recommend non-porous surfaces like metal and plastic for this. Um, but they also recommend textures. But I think it's super interesting to show like just what a streak on just a flat piece would look like as well. But yeah, so if we move back up here, you can kind of see how it's drying on these pieces here in the gold. Oh wow, you can already start to see the edges of this one drying here. And then this is what it's looking like so far as it's drying on the copper. And then we got this in the iron. Yeah, copper, iron, and then the plate metal. Let's take a look at the verdigris. Verdigris. I could not remember the name of this for the longest time. I kept going, call it like Vendigris or something like that. I was like, I don't have no idea. Oh, that was a little thick. So these items, I don't quite know where, like how long they were sitting or anything like that at the, warehouse or stuff like that. These are from the UK and things like that. These items are from the UK, publisher, creator, distributor. No, it doesn't matter. It's fine. I'm having a moment. I'm sorry. So the first time you buy it, you're probably going to need like something. Just you're gonna want to like stir it first to try to loosen that ball up so that you can shake it really well. So yeah, recommended. Or if you have like any disabilities and you can't really do a lot of the shaking and stuff, you can buy like one of those paint shakers from Amazon, I think. Somebody bought it for like $30, I think. They have the more expensive ones if you really like the quality type, but okay. So we're going on to the verdigris. I didn't show it, but it's open now. Sorry, guys. This is why I'm not an influencer. Okay. So let's go ahead and start off in the plate mail metal. This one has a nice, pretty finish. I like it. I want to do it here, I think. I'm going to do a streak here. And kind of let that settle into the crevices. And then I think I'm going to do dab here. And then let's go into here. Yeah, looks quite nice. I think that's good. So I'll let that dry for a little bit. I'm going to move on to the iron. Show you what that guy looks like. Also, like barely touching this liquid just sucks it right up into the brush, so little goes a long way. You can already see it drying down here. Doing pretty good. That's such a pretty color. And this is on the plate mail metal. And then let's try it out on the copper. Typically where you would find the verdigris. Let's do some dabs on the rivets here. And then I wanna put it in here. I'm gonna put some on top of the yellow just to show you what that would look like if you wanted to layer anything. So we're gonna let that dry for a second and we'll go on to the gold here. Let's put this here. You can see how the yellow rust dried. Yeah, because that's pretty much dry. I can like touch it. It's a little bit tacky, but not like excessively tacky. Like my finger doesn't really stick to it or anything. Let's do a thin brush here, just to test out some stuff. And then let's move on to the black here. So just straight up black primer. Hey, the Terraforming Mars big box. So, such a good game. I'm gonna put the verdigris here. It's a nice little area. And it dries so fast you can already see like the edges like starting to change color and stuff. And then I'm going to do the smallest of streaks on this plate back here. You can see what it looks like on an untextured surface. Aw, congrats, Texas Chief. That's a great game. Well worth, like, the big box is worth it. The friend who has it hasn't painted any of the minis that are in there. Like, well, Force, but Force and Cities, I believe, but it's still really awesome. One of my favorite games. Yeah. So if we go back down here to the bottom, you can see how this is dried over on top of the gunmetal. And like from here, you can start layering up. Just dry a little, add some more in spots that you want it to be a little bit darker. Always so scared to get too much paint. There you go. Ooh, so this is where we put the verdigris on top of the yellow rust. Look at the green that came out here. I really like that. I'm trying to see if it's the right spot for you guys. Put my glasses on. But yeah, I really like that effect. Super fun. You can already see like the darkening splotches, and it is very mattified. So that's nice. And then yeah, so you can see like how it would look without any texture and stuff like that, which is fine if that's what you're going for, but it is meant for more textured surfaces. Yeah, thank you. I was testing these last night and I was absolutely obsessed. The moss one, by the way, if you're doing the trees, super cool effect. But let's actually, let me rinse this off here. I'm gonna seal that back up. I'm gonna actually go back to the moss so I can show you like on top of the verdigris and on some of these other colors. And then after I do the rust on this guy here, this is just to show you the different types of textures. We'll bust out the individual minis and play around with those and rusting those out and things like that. So, all right. So we did moss here in this corner. That's the noise that you want to hear, by the way. If you just hear shaking of liquid, it's solidified. Ooh, don't put that upside down. I don't want that. Yeah, so we did the moss here, and then I kind of want to put moss on top of this verdigris over here, so you can see what that looks like kind of layered on top. That was really fun. I don't think I've done anything on the iron with it yet, so we'll go over here to the iron and find something. Just kind of maybe put in some cracks here. I think moss was my favorite texture working with last night. It's super fun to build up on it and kind of get that layers, because the more you layer it up, like it does look more fuzzy even though it's not actually fuzzy. So like this was a tree that used to be, or this used to be a tree but is now a rock. The more you layer up the moss, it does give off this feel of like the actual moss type things that you would use on minis for the environments and stuff. But I hope it works on that. I'm really excited to try it. All right, so I tested a little bit on the iron. Let's go ahead and test this out on the copper here in this corner. I hope I'm in the right area. Nope, you couldn't see that. Sorry about that. Just doing some little dollops on the copper. See what that would look like. So the iron, it went really dark green as it dried. So that's quite interesting. I really like that look. And then I'm wondering if I could do... let's do the cap. Just like some streakies. There's also, like, these items are super cool in general for miniature painting or, you know, for a lot of this type of stuff. But they're also coming out with a new line of things, which is like, I want to say it's like fake blood, but it's not liquid. It's like stringy, I've heard. So I'm really excited to test that one out when we get that in. I'm definitely going to have to do that on camera for you all. I heard like the 3 colors is like red, white, and green, I think. So we'll have to find out. They don't have it listed on their site yet, but they've been doing demos of it, and I'm really hoping that we get that because it looks really cool, or it sounds really cool. I haven't seen it yet, but more to come. Cool. Let that do its thing over on the copper, and then just go ahead and try this out on the gold. Here, put it underneath the helmet. Maybe in some of these skulls over here. Put in this little crack here. I'm not going to wipe this one off. I'm just going to let it drip and kind of get into those crevices. Layer it up a little bit here. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and test out the black while that's drying. So this is just the black primer paint. Area here. And then solid streak. There we go. Cool. And we'll let that dry for a little bit. We go back up to the top here, you can kind of see like how dark it is here in the iron, and then like that really cool blue-green color on top of the verdigris. And then you can, oh no, the verdigris was down here. This was the verdigris on top of the rust. But the verdigris underneath the moss makes it look really textured, and I really like that. It's one of my favorites. And then you can see the yellow rust when I just kind of layered it in there with like a thicker thing. You can see all that changing. These are just really awesome. They're so much fun to mess with or like experiment with and things like that. All right, but I'm gonna set this aside because we're gonna do, last but not least on this guy, some rust, and then we'll mess with some minis. Nope. All right. Talk amongst yourselves while I shake this off. Surely see if purchasing will let us sell paint shakers. I don't know if we have that on our site. We do. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and I like the shaking sound. Sorry, I only have the one microphone on. I was really trying not to get like a whole ASMR thing happening. Oh, I'm gonna need to change out. This brush is getting like super stiff. So this brush will probably be tossed after this session. I'm like, I'm really working it. But it's actually, for the moss effect, you kind of want this kind of like fluffy looking type of, this kind of fluffy looking type of brush, because it fans it out like you would find on like moss and stuff like that, I think. All right, so let's put some rust here in the plate metal. I always forget it. I don't know why. Just silver is fine. Put it in the silver. So let's put the regular rust over here next to the yellow rust on this coin. Kind of fill in those little holes there. Maybe layer that on top a little bit. And then I think over here on these bars, like that. And then show you what it looks like. Just dab in little rivets. And then, oh, I almost adjusted my glasses. And then after I'm done testing this out real quick before I get to the minis, I'll show you what it can look like when you use, you're supposed to be able to use like water to kind of like take off parts of it if you like messed up, or you did a cover area and then you're like, I kind of want it only in this area here, that sort of thing. So I'll show you how that works. Put it over here, this little area, and then I'm going to show it in this texture. All right, and then here, let's do this little area here. Just kind of blooping it on here. Obviously a professional or somebody who does minis a lot can do this a little bit better. This is just showing you how nice it is for those who are just kind of like, I'm interested sort of vibe. All over this guy here. That's the iron. So then we're gonna go over here to the copper. I don't know if I showed that, sorry. I really should wear my glasses. Go. So we'll do here. And we'll go into the copper. It's kind of like a brush. And we'll put it right into here. See what that looks like. Dab some of that excess, a little drier. It's a little bit drier at this point, so you can kind of see what that would look like too. And dab those on some of these skulls over here. Here, kind of layer that up. Let's put some over here on top of this verdigris. let's do these rivets here. Put it on top of this moss to show you what that would look like. All right, let's move on to the gold. I'm gonna use the tiny paintbrush. Oop, I dipped that in a little too far. And then go into these guys here. And then go back to the bigger brush. Put it like right here on the gold. And I kind of want to put it on this guy. And then the last little bit, we're gonna do it on the black, and then we're gonna do a streak on untextured. So let's do this spot. Streak black, and then Oop, that was a little too much. Everything is fine. And this is all right. So down here, it's mostly dry at this point. You can see the darkening and things like that. Definitely something that you can layer. I think the regular rust and the yellow rust work pretty well together. I think they complement each other pretty well for these ones. And then over here you can see this is like a thinner, just a quick streak just to see how it would go. I like how, oh gosh, I wasn't going on to this area here, but I like how like in this area where I used the yellow rust, you have the darker actual like rust areas here in the little crevices, and then it's much more yellowy down here. And the moss looks really good on the copper. I think that comes out really well in this. And then the verdigris on top of the yellow rust makes a really cool, like, extra coppery looking effect. I really like that. This looks super rusted. I really like how that came out, and it looks like it's just a layer of rust on top of this. Like, looks like I could scratch it off and stuff like that. We're gonna set this in front of the fan to get a little bit more dry. And we'll start painting. Who do I want to work on first? What's this guy? So, I put this guy together last night. He is from Leviathan. I pulled him out of my very first time putting together a GW mini. To those of you who do that a lot, my hats off to you, because oh my goodness, the book in and of itself was a struggle to follow sometimes. So I really have the most respect to those that put together and paint the Warhammer minis because woof. Okay, let's go ahead and let's try out his shoulder guard. Let's do a yellow rust. I'm gonna do a quick shake, make sure that's good. It can settle so fast. So if you use one at a time and then you have to go back, I definitely recommend shaking again. This here, and then I think I'm gonna use this guy. All right, gotta make sure I'm centered for you guys. I'm actually, for him, I'm just gonna do like a quick brush. And then layer on top of that. So this guy was just primed with matte and then dry brushed with plate mail metal. So that's already starting to dry and mattify. And then from there you can start layering if you want more up here on top of the shoulder, or like down here. So there's like a nice little dark spot back here from, I put like a little dollop and then kind of like went bloop. That's starting to look really cool. And then there's almost like a shifting effect from the way the light hits it. Because this is definitely not as yellow right now based on how much I was using. But it could certainly go ahead and get more yellow as it dries, obviously. Like the longer it aerates and stuff like that. $3. That's a pretty good deal. Yeah, this is actually turning out really nice. I think this looks pretty good. So that's a nice little test on that shoulder. And then what do you guys think? Verdigris or regular rust on this? I feel like verdigris up here, maybe rust down here on his arm. Hand, I guess, forearm. Let's do verdigris. of these days, I'm going to put the cap upside down and then I'm going to get in trouble. All right, let me just make sure that I'm centered for you guys. I could do this all day. This is so relaxing. This is putting the mini together was frustrating. The painting part was actually not that bad. Like, I had so much fun. The friend that helped me out with like what to do, what not to do sort of things last night and helped me put the mini together. Kept trying to I was like, I don't have time for another hobby. I don't think I could do this. But I might end up taking it up because this is super fun. And I do have some unpainted WizKids minis that I could probably do a nice little weekend on. Okay. And let's go ahead and layer it up on the skull patch part here. Pardon me if that's not what you call it. I don't play 40K. Kind of letting that dry. Over here and check. This looks so cool. I love the way the yellow rust turned out on the shoulder. Oh, Texas Chief, go buy some of these. They're so much fun. Like, different textures, different types of layering, different types of like brushes apparently do different things. Dirty Down's website has a lot more advanced tips. I was not ready for some of them. So if you want, they have like after you buy it, if you want to go to their site for the more advanced tips on like brushes and things like that, certainly helpful. Love the way they look though. These are some of the more fun paints that I've messed with. Layer this up again here. This is more of a flatter brush than what I was using earlier, so that could also affect like how the paint goes on and things like that. Can make it a little bit darker. There we go. Yes, the rust on the buildings for terraforming Mars, that would be amazing because, you know, red planet and all that. I think that would work out really, really cool. And if you do like D&D painting and things like that, the moss I think would look really cool on like like the older cottage style, like if you're visiting a hag or something, like a house that's just overrun or abandoned and stuff like that. That would be really cool. And these are just like the regular plastic. I'll show you what it looks like if you try to paint. So this type of miniature came pre-painted and had like it was a different type of feel than like your normal one. So we did have to spray paint it with like a primer, like just a gray primer, and hopefully it takes the way I think it will. So stay posted for that one. But I'm gonna let this guy dry out a little bit. I think he might take a little bit longer. Putting it in front of the fan, maybe. Ooh, sea hag! Oh my gosh, the moss would be amazing on that one. But yeah, I just put it in front of the fan to see if it would do a little bit more. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, that's gonna take a little bit of time to dry out. I think that one takes a little bit longer before you start seeing the effect. So let's do rust on this guy's hand. All right, let's try out this hand, sir. Let's see. Let's make you kind of blotchy. Little spots. No, this might not be the best one. Let me try to use the finer point for something like this. More like a boop, boop. And right over here, like a little crevice. Maybe on like each of his fingies. So much fun, and there's so much more to show you. Let's do here and around here. Looks so cool. I don't know if you could see. Oh gosh, sorry, hang on. I was trying to get him closer. But like the darker patches. Oh, looks so cool. I love these things. Oh no, it didn't go. Why didn't you go? And you can layer on top of the rest, like normal ribbons. This looks so cool. That's such a cool effect. I love that. I'm gonna set him aside. Since I've got the rust out, there's another mini I want to mess with. So this was put together by someone for us, and this has so much like silver metal that we can mess with, so I kind of want to like test out what this would look like. Let's go ahead and do this guy, this little bit here. purple so that the edges are a little bit dark. Oh, too much. Yup. I think the yellow rust and the rust would look really cool on those types of minis that are wielding a blade. I don't have any of those. I just have guys with guns. But this is a good example of showing you how that would work. Like, I'll spin this around here. We'll work on the back while that dries. And this one I'm kind of dabbing on. It's a little hard to get in there, but all right. Awesome. So while that's drying, let's go look at the other side. Ooh, look at that streaky look to it. From there, you can kind of have to clean that guy off. Kind of use like a more finer point and just add a little bit of extra details, like up here at the corner, some extra on the tip, a little saw blade bit into the corners. Darken up these a little bit. You can see how like we add just like a smidge extra of a dollop down here. Just darken that up. Let it settle. And we need an actual dot. Yeah, that. Really settle into that side there. Ooh, look at that. Looks so cool. And there's a lot of options on this guy. Probably should start with him. Got a lot of metal bits here. The raised ridges on the exhaust. I'm talking about these guys here. They do have a dry brush somewhere. What color were you thinking? The rust? You could certainly try it. I have a what do you call it? I have a washcloth next to me, so you can certainly try. Let me get my dry brush here. Flip this. So let's do a quick. I wonder if I can use the cap. Let's kind of suck that out. Certainly worth it. There wasn't much in the cap though. I may need to utilize my little. Ooh. I don't think I need too much of this. Put this back here before I drop it. Ooh, so that does kind of work. Yeah. Just kind of extended the dry brush here a little bit. Oh, that dries so fast in the air though. Like, this is the spot I put it in. It was like completely done already. Like, a little bit more on. I like that. I want to test that just a smidge more. Go. Straight back up here. Actually, I'm gonna go up here. So it's a little difficult to work with the dry brush effect because of like how much it just absorbs so fast. But it's not, if you can get it, like obviously I'm not the most skilled, but if you have the technique, like that's not a bad look. Yeah, yeah. Like if you got the skills, I think it's definitely worth it. Because that's actually not that's pretty cool of an effect. Just kind of extended it a little bit. That's kind of cool looking. I like that. Yeah. And that might even change color like as that dries a little bit more and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. I like that. Well, the more you know, guys. Yeah, I think being able to utilize the dry brush for this, it's not that bad. It's pretty good. I set that aside. I gotta clean this off just a smidge. Whew, that's okay. So using a dry brush, absolutely no water, it sucked up so much and yet nothing was coming out. Like I'm putting it in the water just so that I can clean it a little bit more. But, whew, oh boy. That changed the color real fast. Yeah, thumbs up for me too. But yeah, heads up Texas Chief, I don't know if you were here earlier, but don't use real hair type bristles. I think it's called sable. I would use synthetic. Also, be sure to wash with like soap and water right after you're done. Otherwise, you'll basically lose your brushes. That was fun. All right, I'm gonna put the rust back. I think I would like to kind of try out my handy dandy rock that I've made. This was just going to be just this guy, still attached to the base of the tree, the trunk. But it snapped a little, and I had to like cut it, and turns out there was a metal piece in the trunk. So I cut it down, glued it to a base, and then just added some extra stuff. So let's go ahead and see what this will look like. And we've got some slate, I believe, here. So we can also test what they do recommend non-porous surfaces, but let's see what it'll look like on like rock. Yeah, definitely close to the end of its life. There's one that I used. I'm not entirely sure it'll survive the day. So, but all right, let's go ahead, and I'm actually going to use that brush because I keep touching these little stones, and they're not. I didn't glue them on very well, so they keep coming off. But I'm going to use this roughed up one because I think this will have more of the texture that I want for the moss on here. So this is a pre-painted mini that I actually had to prime because I didn't think it was going to stick to the original color, the original paint. Let's go ahead and test this out a little bit. These rocks down here. And see how that's going to look when dried. This is drying really fast on this gray primer. You can already see kind of like the texture. And then from there you can layer it on. The areas that you already did. Just doing the very lightest of dabs on this one because it sucks up so much liquid when you dip it in that I don't want to like oversaturate an area. There's a learning curve to this, I found. So like just dabbing, kind of giving it like a more kind of look to it. I'm trying to, at least. I'm not an artist. I'm a writer, but I try. I like all the arts. Never know until you're 100%. Yep, exactly. Oh! I dropped it. Oh look, it actually took to the slate. That's not bad. Let's add words. I got too excited. Let's add a little bit more. See what we can do with this. Light us a little dabs. I will click here in the corner. Over here. Because technically it's porous, but it's textured, so. Yeah, just keep layering. The more you do, the more that like fuzzy look kind of comes out. Just paint with your heart. It's the way I play board games, which is why I lose a lot, but I enjoy it. Ooh, speaking of board games, tomorrow is Rock Hard 1977 we'll be playing for Meeple Masterclass, so if you're interested in that game, definitely pay close attention. That one's being shown at Gen Con. I believe they're selling it, or at least demoing it. I think they're selling it. I have to add some stuff here. Just boop, boop, boop. Go here. Add a little bit more. The smell in this room, though, guys. Well ventilated area for sure. 'Cause woof. Ideas and methods, yeah. I've been painting for less than 24 hours. Yeah, I don't know what kind of ideas. I mean, this was actually a pretty interesting idea, because I initially was just going to have this, and my friend had a bunch of shale and pebbles and moss and was like, just keep adding. He wanted me to add like a purple one towards the end, and I was like, I need to go home. Like, I'm tired. What was supposed to be like a 2-hour session turned into 4 hours, if not longer, and I learned way too much about painting, and now I want to do it. So, but cool. I'm actually gonna leave that to dry for a little bit, and we're gonna go back to the original texture plate so that I can show you guys what it looks like when it's basically pretty much dry. And then yeah, the moss is like, I'm sure the Verdigris probably looks a lot cooler in the hands of somebody who can do it better. But it's still really cool to utilize. Like, the moss on top of the Verdigris is one of my favorite effects. And then the Verdigris on top of the yellow rust is actually pretty epic. But I wanted to show you guys what it looks like when things are mostly dry, as well as show you the ability to like remove. You're supposed to be able to just straight up remove paint with just some water. So I'm gonna set these up there. Okay, so this is our template down here with the silver. These are all basically dry, so you can see the light versus dark and a lot of the crevices. This is the Verdigris here. Moss on top of the Verdigris. This rust on top of the rough iron, prime. Like, I think that would be one of the best color schemes for you if you're wanting to use the rust. I think the rough iron looks really good underneath the rust. That does a really good job there. Um, the moss didn't seem to do nearly as well on the rough iron, but it could also be because this is a much more smoother area, whereas this has a lot of texture, and I'm wondering if the moss needs more texture to adhere to things. Like this looks really cool over here and stuff still. Going up, we have the copper area, which the verdigris on top of the yellow rust it's one of my faves. Like this is so cool looking. The rust on top of the copper looks also really, really good. This was like the straight brushing without like any dabbing or anything like that. It looks like there's a little bit of like where a puddle settled here in the corner, so it's way darker. The moss doesn't look that bad on top of on top of the copper. So I think it does really well with like pretty much any texture. Like the more texture you have, the better. The rust over here looks okay. This is the rust on top of the verdigris. That doesn't look so bad. That rust is very overpowering though. So like it covers up the verdigris like almost 100%. Whereas like over here, the verdigris kind of complements the yellow, and you can kind of see it peek through a little bit in some areas. So I think that's still a really good combo. Moving up to the high gold, you've got the moss over here, did pretty good. It looks a little bit lighter than when it's like on top of the other ones. But this rust looks really good right here. That's such a cool effect. The yellow rust too looks really good on top of the gold, I think. That's also got a pretty cool effect. And then over here in the black, we have the yellow rust, the verdigris, the moss, and the rust on just texture. Not a whole lot, just like a quick little area spotting. And this is just on top of the plain black primer. And then these are your, like just a regular streak on very untextured surfaces. However, based on this guy, I think even if it's untextured, you can still layer it up on top of itself to give it more of an effect. So I think I think it's still possible. It's just, I just streaked it so that you can see what it looked like. But let's try to get a brush. Let's try to just remove something. Let's try to remove this little bit that I put in the middle. Like, it doesn't look the best and kind of doesn't do anything, in all honesty. So we'll get clean water. I brought it just for this, which is too much, but it's fine. And then you're supposed to be able to just wipe it away. Look at that. That actually worked. Because you're supposed to be able to just wipe it away without taking off the paint that was underneath it. Which I need. So I used water, and now I'm just like dabbing to try to remove it a little bit more. And then I'm wiping the brush so I can do a little bit more. And this was all dry brushed this morning, so if anything comes off, it might be because it wasn't 100% dry by the time I started utilizing it. So that would be my bad, not exactly the paint's fault. But that came out pretty good. It's hard to tell because it was already kind of like a lighter color. I think it pulled up pretty good. We can try it again on the rust over here where we can clearly see it. And we'll just do like a square here. Oh yeah, look at that. It's like if you mess up, you're just like, ugh, wet paper towel, do a quick wipe, drop some water on there. It says you should be able to like, oh, I can't flick it. I tried. You should be able, you can add water after you put it down and then like pat it to add effects as well. I'm not proficient, so I don't really know how to do that. But yeah, you can see it taking off the paint that we put down, and it's not really taking off the paint that I have underneath it. So that's really good for those who, it's a great selling point, I think, because that is really good, like high quality. Yeah. And I mean, I can't really tell myself. I mean, maybe it leaves a little bit of like a residual stain, but it's not overt. And you can always use like a fine point to just kind of touch up the original paint that was underneath it. But it didn't take anything off, which is really good. I think that is fantastic. That did really well. You can use it to clean it up, but you can also use it to like add effects, some maybe like water droplet effects or something like that. I'm really sorry, I don't know how to do that. But buy some, experiment yourself, and see if you can get the effects. Like these are really fun to work with. A little bit pain in the butt to try to get like shaken out and stuff like that. But if you don't have to shake it, you can use like a stick to start stirring it first, and then you can try to shake it. I was impatient, so I did not do that. But there you go. That was the water test to try to remove that. It did really well. So I think that is really good. Yeah, I don't think it took anything off. Let's go back here. So this is the guy that I painted. He's got the yellow rust over here, the verdigris on his shoulder. That probably could have been done a little bit differently. I'm not the best, but it looks pretty good color wise. And then the rust looks so cool. I think the rust has some of my favorite effects, rust and moss for sure, because like looking at how the dark seeps into like the little crevices and things like that, and just makes it pop a little bit more. Like I think this looks really awesome. And then we'll go over to our moss or our stone here. And there we go. Like it looks really cool. I don't know if it comes across on camera very well, but it looks textured. Like it looks like if I was to reach out and touch it, it would be fuzzy. And I mean, it's still drying, and granted, this was a very smooth surface, like this thing here, because it was just like straight up pre-painted type of smooth surface. Like this guy, which if I had had more time, I probably would have painted him too. But yeah, like it's a very smooth base for this. But yeah, like this was awesome. Like it looks really good on the shale too. So like it'll still work on porous surfaces. It might seep in a little bit more, so you'll have to be cautious of like the like crevices and things like that. But I think this looks pretty good. Oh, paint the moss on and then run some vines. Yeah, I don't have any green paint, otherwise I would have like drawn on, because you can definitely do that. I can't draw vines, are you kidding me? Yeah, so but yeah, this was the Dirty Down water soluble paint. Acts a little bit like a wash, I believe are the correct terms, but if you are, it's a little harder, but I think you can even utilize it as like a dry brush for some things, as we saw in the back end here, which this looks really cool. The dry brush effect, like that's actually not bad. If you have the talent to be able to do the dry brushing a little bit better than me, like it could look fantastic. Um, the rust on top of the pre-painted, like already kind of rusted looking silver, looks really cool. I think these have a they're very awesome. I think they have wonderful effects. I think they do really well for minis. Um, like you can see here with the verdigris looks better, like maybe streaked. Moss painted up on metal, the rust, and then the yellow rust here. But these do really, really well. I think these are fantastic. And these are dirty down. We have them on our website. I believe they are 18, possibly. But yeah, do you guys have any questions or anything regarding these paints before we go? Oh, the tiny vine. Oh yeah, stealing the decorations from other things. That definitely works. I think I really like that idea. Yeah, these are wonderful. I think these work absolutely fantastic. But all right. But yeah, catch us next time for maybe more painting things. Tomorrow we have 1977, and then next week we've got some more Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday streaming. So catch us then. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining. Bye.